Hi everyone, welcome again to day 8 of the Ask the Planner 30 Days to Us live video series. So, welcome to all the new live viewers and welcome to the replay viewers that are watching me later on today or tomorrow, whenever you have a chance. Welcome. So, I'm excited. We've gone through 1 week of getting married in 30 days. Our fictitious bride and groom, Aaliyah and Michael, have performed several steps to get them down the aisle on October the 5th. We started this journey on September the 5th. Hi, Amaka, how are you? We started this journey on September the 5th, and now we have 3 more weeks to get our bride and groom, Aaliyah and Michael, down the aisle in 30 days. So far, we've done several things. Of course, we set their budget. They know where they're getting married. They have a place that'll be a place for their ceremony and their reception. The catering is all taken care of. Since they have a date, they sent out their save the dates, and they were online so they can get those out expeditiously. And they also decided to send online invitations, and that's okay. Um, those will be online too, so to save some time. Now, the next steps in the process will be since everything's in place as far as when and where, okay, now it's time for them to make this, because we've already gone into 1 week. They need to make sure they have someone to marry them. And they need to make sure that they're legally going to be married on that day. I've heard so many stories of getting the officiant but forgetting about the marriage license or getting the wrong marriage license. So you want to make sure that once you have your date, because you can't tell anybody till you have your date and of course, because you have your date, you have your venue, then you can begin to talk to other vendors to get all the other pieces of this very special day taken care of. Okay? So, what the next steps are and what we're going to talk about today is getting your officiant. You want to be legal. Okay? You want to make sure you have someone to marry you, and you want to make sure you have a license and the right license, the right marriage license. So, first, we'll talk about getting the officiant. Now, Aaliyah and Michael are Christians, so they already belong to a church. So for them, getting an officiant is going to be an easy process. More so than others that may not have a religious establishment that they attend, where they have a relationship with a wedding officiant. So Leah and Michael are going to ask their pastor at their church if he's available on their wedding day, which is 10/5. Okay, that's in stone. Okay, so and it's a good thing as soon as you get that date that you find out if your pastor is available, just because they are your pastor if you have one, or or your father if you belong to a Catholic church. Just because you've been there for 20, 30 years doesn't mean they'll be available on your special day. So as soon as you find out, you talk to them or their secretary and you find out if they're available. There are several questions that you need to ask once you locate your wedding official. Now, for other folks who have to kind of search for their officiant because maybe they don't belong to a religious establishment, then they have to go and try to find someone that pretty much believes what they believe, or whatever their beliefs might be, and that they gel with that particular person, because this is a special day and you want to make sure you have some sort of chemistry with the wedding officiant if they're not someone that you personally know and you or your family have been around. So there's several places that you can start your search if you're looking for a wedding officiant. So what we're going to do is take the route of, okay, I don't belong to a religious establishment and I don't have a relationship with a wedding officiant, me nor any close family members, so we have to find one. There are a couple of places that you can start. One is Wedding Wire online, which is a great wedding tool for all sorts of resources as it relates to finding vendors and venues and things like that, and just wedding ideas. And the other, of course, is The Knot. And there's several others, but you can go to any wedding site that specializes in providing you resources for your wedding, such as vendors. Okay, so what I'm going to do is flip this around and show you how you would go about finding a wedding officiant on the WeddingWire site. So let's switch this around. Oh, hi Sean, how are you? Switching around. Okay. So you know how we like to show and tell, okay? So I'm going to the WeddingWire site. And remember, you can go to any site that specializes in providing resources for your big day, okay? And WeddingWire is just one of the big resource tools that are out there. That's why we're utilizing them. Now, the first thing you want to do here, they make it pretty easy as far as navigating their site, they're asking you a question. Who are you looking for? So we are looking for a wedding officiant. So we're going to click on this drop down. And as you can see, they list all sorts of vendors that are available. And we want the officiant. And that link is right there, officiant. So I'm clicking on that. Next question is, okay, where would you like to find your officiant? Now, one key thing to remember, and a lot of people get confused on this, is that when you're getting married, you want to get a license that is tied to where you're getting married, not where you live or where your fiance lives, okay? So that's very key. You must get the license based on where you're getting married, that venue, whether it's the ceremony at your wherever that ceremony is taking place, that's where you want to get the license. And it has to be based on that state and county, because it's different for every county. So first you start with on the state, what state, and then next question is what county. And the reason why we're talking about the license already is because what we're going to do is find an officiant that is in the city or state where Aaliyah and Michael are getting married. So their venue is the Moshulu, which is in Penn's Landing, Pennsylvania, which is in the city of Philadelphia. So the county for where their venue is located is actually Philadelphia County. So we're just going to put in Philadelphia, PA, and click on the search or the acceptance for that city state, and then we're going to click on find, and it'll show us all the officiants. What we're thinking here is to find the officiant, because if you if you find an officiant, for example, if it were Aaliyah and Michael, they live in Maryland. If they were to needed to search for an officiant and they knew someone that was in Maryland, or they just didn't know anyone, so they decided, okay, let's find someone that lives near us. You'll have to pay for traveling costs for them to travel if your ceremony is taking place out of state. So it will decrease the cost if we find someone that's local to the venue location. So here, WeddingWire shows numerous officials that are available from different religious backgrounds, Jewish, Catholic, etc. Now, what we're going to do is select one site that pretty much covers different religious backgrounds, okay, such as Journeys of the Heart. Okay, Journeys of the Heart is located in Jenkintown, PA, their actual office. So we're going to click on that, Journeys of the Heart. And there they are right there. Okay, and then what they do is give you some general information. So if I wanted to call them, because the first thing you need to do once you find an officiant that you're interested in, you need to call them and see if they're available on your wedding day. So no need in researching about Journey of the Heart. If, on the surface they look okay, they fit, in with what my religious background, non-religious or not, background is. But first I need to find out, okay, are they available on 10/5? So I would call them and check and find out. And if you find out that they are available, you may be able to get some other questions asked, but we can visit their site And what will happen, they list several officiants that are available and come from different backgrounds. So if I click on our officiants, now I'm on the Journey of the Heart site. I'm not on Wedding Wire anymore. And then I'm going to scroll down, and these are all the officiants that are available. So you would just look at their profile and see if anything fits. Do you have, if, as far as your likes or dislikes, or just anything that kind of gels with you, okay? And make a selection from there. So when you call, you may say that I'm interested in Nyla Francis, or I'm interested in Monica. Well, Monica's on sabbatical, so we can't use Monica, but maybe you're interested in Maria Odoa. Okay, she actually performs her services in the greater Philly area and other areas, as well as Nyla. So these two would be perfect for Aaliyah and Michael if they were looking for a wedding officiant. Okay, so it's as simple as that. Now, once you find the officiant, there's several questions that you need to ask in reference to the services they provide. You want to make sure, of course, we already found out that they're available. So say we want to talk to Nyla Francis. Okay, we want to actually see if she can perform the services that we need. So we would call her or meet with her and ask her several questions as it relates to our day and where we're getting married. So in reference to Journeys of the Heart, I'm pretty sure that they will go off-site as well as perform services if they have their own religious institution that they perform or minister to. If you find a wedding officiant and talk to them, one of the questions you need to ask is, do they provide nuptials off-site? I know in the Catholic with Catholic religious institutions, they will not perform services outside of the church. Okay, so that's one really good legitimate question that you would need to ask your wedding officiant to make sure that they will. Some when they do perform off-site, they have limitations. I knew one pastor or religious a wedding officiant that stated that he wouldn't perform on ships or boats. They're different. They all have their own reasoning behind it, why they will not perform off-site or even if they do perform off-site, they will only perform the nuptials in certain venues. So make sure you ask that question. The other big question when it comes to selecting a wedding officiant is, do you have to have marital counseling? A lot of, especially in the Baptist religion, a lot of them have a requirement that they want you to attend marital counseling, whether it's, some have really long programs that are 6 months out, some 3 months, some just a month or a couple of weeks. So it varies depending on the church. So a very legitimate question. Some pastors or wedding officiants will not perform the service unless you meet with them a certain number of times, so that you as a couple can talk through, why you're getting married, the love that you have for each other and the extent of that. How much do you really know each other, where it's a place where you can sit down and talk through things such as religion and having kids, and if you're both different religions, how does that affect the child? Who would make decisions about how the child is raised if it's two different religions? Money, which is a really big topic that a lot of couples don't talk about, but when you for certain wedding officiants, they make this part of the process because they want to make sure that the couple is ready for marriage and all that entails. They even talk about the sensual part of being married. Okay, they talk about that as well. So the romance as it relates to being married. What happens if you get hurt and you can't work and the other spouse has to foot all the bills. Can that happen based on your present situation? So there's several things that occur in marital counseling, and I personally think it's a great thing to actually go through if you can. But in Aaliyah and Michael's case, they don't have a lot of time to go through an extensive program. But a lot of times you can make an arrangement with your wedding officiant and just schedule a few visits that add up to what they feel will make you ready to walk down the aisle as a couple. Okay, so those are the two major things that you need to ask. Make sure that they can perform the nuptials off site if you're not having it at a church or at their institution. And the other one is, will they require you to go through marital counseling as well? So those are the two major things to consider when deciding on a wedding officiant. So that needs to be done so that you can get married and walk down the aisle, because all the things we've done so far won't happen unless you get someone that can marry you legally. Now, once you find the wedding officiant, then you will to find out where you should get the marriage license and how. What are those requirements? So, as I stated earlier, Aaliyah and Michael are getting married in Penn's Landing, Pennsylvania, which is downtown PA, downtown Philly. So they need to contact the state, that county, because first you start at the state level and then the county, and they need to find out what the requirements are for that state. A lot of times, I know it used to be in DC, you had to have a blood test. Some places require blood tests, so you have to allow for that time. And also, some places, when you get the license, it will only last a certain period of time. So you don't want to get it too far ahead of your wedding date. You want to make sure that it is valid by the time, on your wedding date, because you get it too early, then it can expire. So they typically last about, I know, at least a month. I'm not sure, every state's different, but they typically last about a month. But every state and county has different requirements, so that's why you need to find out what those are. And the actual fee for the license, the marriage license, I think it was, when I got married, I believe it was under $50 or something. It's not a lot, but you just have to make sure you have it. Okay? I remember I watch a little reality TV, just a little bit, and I watched this one reality show where this couple got married, and the mother and sister on the bride's side did not like her fiance, from day one, for various reasons. So on the day of the wedding, the bride, they're all at the venue, and the bride realizes that she doesn't have the marriage license, so she's freaking out, because if they go down the aisle, the preacher or pastor can marry them, but it won't be legal unless he can sign that piece of paper for them. So she started freaking out, and so she turns to them, because the mother and sister were in the room with her. Can you guys go and get the marriage license? It's where, blah, blah, blah. She, told them where it was at. I think I left it there. So they left the room, and bottom line, they had the marriage license in hand. And didn't tell her. And they were thinking, because they didn't like her husband to be, they were plotting about not telling her, that they had the license, and just like maybe she shouldn't get married to him. So that's a crazy story, but it actually happened. So anyway, said that to say that having that marriage license and going through the criteria, doing the research that's required to make sure you have the right one for the right county and state that you're getting married in, not where you or your fiance lives, is crucial. So let's look at Philly and see what their requirements are. I'm going to switch back over. So the Moshulu is located where Aaliyah and Michael are getting married. It's located in Penn's Landing. So we're going to go to that site where they can apply for the marriage license. Okay, so Penn's Landing is actually Philadelphia County. So that's where they need to go to figure out what the requirements are. Okay, so they give the hours of operation, when you can go in and apply, and the number, etc. And it also tells you what the requirements are, that you have to be at least 16, 17 years old, etc. So it has an age requirement. That's pretty young. So they even have a little disclaimer if you're 15. So some states allow you to marry just that young. So, and it also tells you whether okay, remember I mentioned the blood test? So here's the question here about whether you have to take a blood test or not. So it says, are blood tests necessary? Blah, blah, blah. And for Philadelphia County, it is no, not necessary. Okay. But as I mentioned earlier, there are some places that do require a blood test in order to get married. Okay, so it goes through and tells you what those requirements are. And also, let's see, it also says that we can actually go to the site where you fill it out. And I know for myself personally, when my husband and I went to, we were married, we live in Maryland, so we were married in Maryland as well. But we had to get our license in the county where the venue was, which was PG County. Okay, so we went there to the state office for the marriage license for PG County, and it was really quick. We just walked in. So here we are on the page for Philly that gives you the directions. Standard. You need your ID, and here, remember the time frame. The marriage license will issue. Okay, it's valid for 60 days, so that's good. So 60 days out, you can get your license as early as 60 days out, and it's valid, which is good. And the cost is $90. So, as I stated earlier, it doesn't cost that much. When we went to the PG County office, it was probably that or a little less, and we actually walked in, walked out. I think they asked us a couple of questions. One of the major questions they asked, and I mean, you could actually lie. How would they know? But they asked if you were currently married, which I thought was interesting, because they didn't ask for any proof, from what I remember. But they asked if you were currently married, so I guess they have a way of checking if they were to check, but they didn't check while we were there, because how would they know? I could have gotten married in any other, or he could have gotten married in any other county or state, but they just asked the question. It's kind of like it's an honor system type of thing. They take your word for it that you're not trying to commit polygamy, which is not is against the law in the state of Maryland. So essentially, it's an easy process. So just the key things are that you just don't forget that you need to get that a month from people usually get them a month out from their wedding date, and they make sure it's in a secure place and that they don't forget it. Have that checklist the week of, the day before, make sure you have everything. You don't want to have to run back to the house to get that marriage license. So that is what that's what I wanted to do today. How the importance of doing your research so that you can get your wedding officiant based on the date that you have settled on for your wedding date, and making sure if it's someone you don't know, make sure it's a good fit, and it's someone that fits your fiance and yourself, your likes, dislikes, whether you're religious or not. Make sure it's a good fit, and make sure that you ask all the right questions so there are no surprises as you get closer to the date. And then after you select your wedding officiant, the next step is to do your research and apply for your marriage license. In the scenario of Aaliyah and Michael, they can get they're getting married in 30 days, so they can go down to the city hall and apply for their application and get it. Remember, when we went, they give it to you right there, so you don't have to wait. It isn't mailed to you. They hand it to you right there, so you walk out with it. So you go through the steps to make sure you have your license, and you have it for the state and the county that you will be getting married in. So those are the things that I wanted to talk to you about today or this evening. I hope you had a great day and have a great day tomorrow, and I'll see you tomorrow at 7:30 for our next topic and for our 30 Days to Us live video series, How to Plan a Wedding in 30 Days. Night. See you tomorrow.